Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. Jess is on maternity leave. Lauren LaRosa is filling in. And we got a special guest in the building.
Compton's finest.
Ladies and gentlemen, DeMar DeRozan. Welcome.
Man, it's an honor, man.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I am blessed, black, and highly favored, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
New book out, Above the Noise, My Story of Chasing Calm. I love that title. When I hear that title, I know a man that's doing the work on himself.
Man, trying, man. It's definitely a challenge. Something that's not easy. Take time. It's patience. Got to give yourself grace. You know, we go through a lot of stuff, you know, that we sweep under the rug. And a lot of times, by the time we figure it out, we deep in. And it takes a lot of work to try to figure that out. So, you know, just trying to inspire, get the message out there, and just try to break the stigma more than anything.
I love what you said in the New York Times about how more athletes need to open up about their mental health. And basically, you said they need to show their Clark Kent side.
Yeah, man. Everybody look at us like we the superhero so much.
Y'all are to a lot of kids.
No, without a doubt.
I don't look at it. I'll dunk on you.
See?
He can't even touch the net. He can't even touch the net. He didn't even take you serious, but go ahead.
And it's definitely, you know, I think for me, you know, I look at it, we fall in love with a lot of superheroes because who they are at night. You know, we never appreciate the person before they put on the mask. And a lot of times we carry that mask more than anything. You know, even me to this day, that's one thing I'm trying to break. You know, it's tough when you gotta kind of be two different people. You know, and sometimes you forget the most important person at times and put yourself in a deep depression at times, and it's tough to get out of.
I want to know your journey when it came to the NBA, right? Because growing up as a kid, there wasn't as many leagues where it was training. We just kids played in the park, and the good kids went to high school, played on a high school team, played in college. But now it seems like everything is foreseen as training. You got to train 6 days a week. Lamar Odom and all those days just played park. They went to Rucker, played ball, and kept it moving. So what was your journey to get into the league, and explain to some of the kids out there who have that dream how difficult it was to get there?
First of all, like you said, like growing up, like we didn't know nothing about training. It was all like if I go to the play at the park from sun up to sundown, that's what I'm gonna be able to do. You know, that's what I'm gonna do. If it's in the backyard, if it's making a crate, playing basketball, like my aspiration was always trying to escape from my reality with sports. You know what I mean? Whether we play football in the streets, whatever it may be. You know, we use sports as a gateway, you know, for peace. And for a long time, you don't even consider like working out. You just want to hoop. You know, so as you get older, it becomes more difficult when you got to take those necessary steps to, you know, evolve into a true basketball player. So it's definitely a long road, you know, and especially now, I can't even imagine what social media and so much stuff that's in front of these kids now. You basically famous by the time, you know, you in middle school, you know, so it's definitely difficult these days more so than ever. When before it just used to be about the game.
And when did you realize you were that good to make it to the league? Because as a kid, everybody thinks they Jordan, everybody thinks they Kobe, everybody thinks they every player that they ever imagined. When did you know, like, oh, I got a shot?
When it was a true real life belief, probably by the time I was probably like in the 9th, 10th grade. When it was like, all right, if I keep working at this, I still maybe have a chance. But for me, everything was still felt so far fetched because, you know, you didn't know nothing about college. I didn't have nobody in my family go D1. So even just going to college was a big thing. Like, man, I got to at least make it to college. Like, damn the league. College was more so the big obstacle for me to make it to there. So by the time my senior year, I knew I was going to SC. I knew it was a chance for after that for me to go pro for sure.
What about your father? Because I love seeing black men celebrate their fathers, and you dedicated the book to your father, Frank DeRozan. What were some of the values he contributed, you know,
instilled
to your upbringing? Not just as a player, but as a man more.
As a man more than anything, you know, he taught me the art of hard working, resiliency, being a man more so than anything. And one thing growing up that he always, you know, preached to me that, you know, we was growing up in a cruel society. So he prepared me on how to deal with that more so than anything.
How to deal with them white folks.
Yeah, just period. And my dad was from the country. He was from the South. So
what part?
Vidalia. It's a small, in Louisiana, small town. I remember when I was a kid, he first took me there. I remember he showed me cotton fields and all this stuff. It was crazy. They still boiled their water to take baths. You know what I mean? Like, So that was real humbling for me at a young age, especially being from Compton, going to go see the countryside of my dad. But he showed me just the importance of hard work, sticking to your word, and everything that he went through. He never complained.
Is your dad one of the OGs that bought them horses to Compton since he's from the country?
No, he ain't bring
That would have been lit if he was like,
No. That's a good one. No, he didn't. He didn't.
What was the Compton like that you grew up in?
I mean, in the time, I thought it was a norm, of being around, such an aggressive nature of gangs and everything, because it was so family oriented. I grew up during a time like, it still was those kind of old school rules where, the guys in the neighborhood going to protect you to stay away from all the, the bullshit that was going on.
Right.
And that was one thing that definitely helped me. Even though it was aggressive, you had to deal with a lot of obstacles, but, it was a lot of people that looked out for me more so than anything to keep you on the right track.
Coming from Compton, I know in 2018 is when you sent out the tweet, the depression get the best of me tweet that kind of sparked all of the conversation. And I know you were back in LA at the time. Do you think, or did you feel like, was it like survivor's remorse because you're so connected to home and family? Now you're back and you're at the height of your career. Like,
I think for me that's when everything hit the wall for me, because my career was taking off at a peak that I never would imagine. I'm coming back home to LA, being a starter for the All-Star team, and all I cared about in that moment was get home and see my kids. I wanted to see my daughters. I didn't care about nothing else. But it's like as soon as I got to LA, it's everybody asking for something, needing something, wanting tickets, wanting to do this. Everybody had this pre-notion of like, I felt like I was getting plotted on in a sense. You know what I mean? When at the end of the day, I just want to go hug my kids. I want to do what my kids want to do. But it's like the overwhelming feeling of I see myself on all these hotels downtown LA. It was just a lot, and it kind of put a lot of stuff in perspective for me, and I kind of just, I hit a wall at that point.
Was Toronto a better place for you because you were away from everybody that you grew up with, and was that a mistake leaving Toronto?
Toronto was the best thing that happened for me, because at that time, even when I was at SC, like if I had a good day or a bad day, I was still going to Compton. Like still going to stay at my mama's house in Compton. I'm still around the same type of environment, so I really wasn't, evolving in a way I needed to. I still ran back to what I was comfortable with. So when I left SC, got drafted, I go to a whole nother country.
Toronto.
With
I know you was like, what the hell
is this? A lot
this?
of beautiful women in Toronto.
It's
too.
a beautiful place. Love it.
No, a lot of beautiful women.
He heard you.
I love it.
That man heard
He
you.
tried to get you. He heard you.
That man heard you. Don't get that man in trouble. Go ahead, brother.
It definitely is,
Go
though.
ahead,
But
brother.
like, it's so wild because I didn't realize how much I needed to be away from home. Like, and it was to the point to where like nobody in my family had a passport. None of my cousins could go. No, like, so I was there by myself. So it forced me to kind of grow up in a way to where it helped me mature in a very professional way, where I paid attention to nothing but working on my craft, how to be the best player, best individual, listen to all the OGs. Like, I didn't have no outside distraction because I can't have the homies come up. I can't have the fam come up. Nobody got no damn passport. Like, it wasn't easy getting a passport. So it was something that definitely was a necessity in my career at that point. And a lot of things that I learned from my time being away from home, then I still carry to this day, just understanding solitude and being able to be to myself.
Was that the first time you felt the calm?
Yeah, unknowingly too. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't no distraction. I had no choice but to be to myself. And with that, now you got to figure out, how to do laundry, how to what to eat, feed you, like so much stuff. When before, I'm gonna just go to mom's, man. I'm gonna have mom's make me something to eat, this. So it definitely was a calm, like I said, even to this point, to make it easier for me when I need those moments to be alone. Like, it's easy to do.
The decision to leave Toronto. Why was that?
That was tough. Because at that point, I was 9 years in. It was the only place I ever knew. Only place I, wanted to stay. Invested so much there. I grew there. I was 19 when I got drafted. Had 2 kids up to that point. So I became a father. Just was a lot going on. You never thought in your mind that you'll leave in a place that, you had so much success in. So when that happened, it took a hit. But, looking back on it, I'm glad, it happened, because that's another point in my life that that was needed for me to grow much more than I ever could imagine.
And you left Toronto and you went to Chicago.
Now I went to San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yep.
And then
Chicago. Yep.
Was the rumors of you going to LA ever real? Was that like
that was real.
Thing?
That was 100% real.
You was gonna play with LeBron?
How close did it get?
It was like it was basically like a done deal at one point, and I remember waking up and I remember leaving LA because I just knew, like, man, if free agency started, I'm about to sign with the Lakers. It's about to be a fucking shit show. Like, you know what I mean? So I took a vacation, got away. I think I went to Cabo or something, and you know, I looked on Twitter. They went a different route. I was like, I thought it was a done deal.
You found out from Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Is that
Lakers
how that
changed their
works?
mind.
The Lakers changed their mind.
Is that normally how that works? Like you
Sometimes, you can't,
Dang, so you in Cabo and like, so what happens? How do you feel? Who do you call? Like what?
What's crazy, you don't call nobody.
Oh, you just
basically like, figure out your next move.
Wow.
Because some probably could be a thought or a word agreement don't necessarily mean, it's set in stone, so they chose to go a different direction. And that's when I went to Chicago. Mm-hmm. So but before Chicago, it was a good chance I was going to be a Laker.
I always wonder, how does that make players feel when they look on Twitter and see that they've just been shipped somewhere? Because it's almost like you're not even human.
Yeah.
Like you're just a product. Like,
and that's another thing I talk to a lot of guys about, that it's a lot of players in our league that kills their confidence. They don't understand it, and it puts them in a spiraling, like, downhill, like, emotion that they can't get out of. And a lot of times you will see a lot of these guys that, they good players, and that one obstacle hit, they never the same, because a lot of guys can't bounce back from it, from a mental aspect. Expectations set on them. They feel like they didn't reach it. Now they feel less than. It's a lot that goes into it that gets overlooked. I understand that it's a business, but a lot of times guys feel a certain type of way when that do happen, and a lot of times it's hard to bounce back from it.
That's why I never get mad at players when they make their own decisions.
Exactly.
And people are always mad at them. And you see people giving LeBron flack all the time for doing what he does, but how could you be mad at him when on the other side, owners do the same thing? Yeah,
do the same thing. And that's the tough part where, I always tell guys, my whole career, I always tell guys, man, you make the best decision for you. You know what I mean? There's been times I play with guys, like, I know if you come back, like, we could even be better next year, but you got to make the best decision for you. I always tell guys do that.
So what made you choose to play for the Kings?
Be honest, the opportunity to compete, to win was there. And the other side of it, obviously the financial part, to still be able to, feel like you want to still receive what you're worth.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
let me look that contract up.
He's like a bird over there. He's worse than a bird. Pull it up, right?
Let me see how much.
Look.
I know he got.
And this is 16 year in the league too.
16, yeah.
What's the contract, Charlamagne?
Hold on, I looked at the wrong one. 3-year deal worth up to $76.7 million, including $3 million in unlikely bonuses. Congratulations, DeMar.
Appreciate it.
16. You see yourself going like 20?
Mentally or physically?
Both.
I would answer physically first and then do mentally.
Physically for sure. I definitely could do it. I take care of myself. I don't do nothing. I don't go out. I don't drink. I just either be my kids or I be chilling. Like, I don't do nothing. So physically for sure. Mentally, that's the tough part because, kids getting older, missing so much stuff from the kids, that becomes more of a priority, more so than anything. Like, I hate, my daughter asked me if I'm gonna be at a dance they having. I'm like, I'm on the road. I can't make it. You know what I mean? That'd be the tough part. So, seeing them get older and missing a lot of stuff, that makes it harder on me to, say, let me go for 20.
Why did you, leave the Spurs? Because, Greg Popovich, he writes the forward in your book. I saw you, I forgot why I saw you at telling the story about how, I think it was after your father passed, and he came to see you, and y'all just kicked it for, like, some hours.
Yeah.
And, like why leave that type of environment?
It's crazy. Like, Pop's such a real dude because even in that point, like, he just wanted me to be able to go somewhere to win and kind of, because the team was going a different route. They was kind of going younger. And, he just told me my last year in San Antonio, wherever you choose to go, I'm going to make sure it happens. And, like, that's why I speak so highly of Pop. It even had, like, you know, Pop texted me last night, like, just randomly, like, you know, like the most positive message you could always get. You know, I love when Pop texts me, but Pop, you know, he was the one to come to me saying, like, you know, go somewhere where you could go be happy and be yourself, because we're going a different route here with the team.
Wow.
You know, so Pop a real dude for that.
What makes him such a special coach?
It's not about basketball. You know, I always tell a lot of guys around the league, like, you think it's basketball, but it's been so many days where Pop, we'll come in, we think we about to watch film on a game previously or something, and he'll sit us down and we'll watch a whole show about penguins, right? And you'll be lost in the moment, but you also will watch it and realize why he have us watching it, because how penguins come together and sacrifice during certain seasons of how the males come together, take care of the eggs while the female go out and hunt for 6 months. It's like a deeper meaning that he put you in front of to show you, like, humility from a different level. You know what I mean? And or maybe times where you lose 2 games in a row, everybody mad, complaining, he'll come in and show clips from a third world country of kids training at 14 years old to playing to be in the Army. And you know, he'll tell you, ask yourself, like, what is it really to complain about? You get paid millions. Like, you get to do what you want to do. There's people out there suffering from real things, you know. So he put a lot of stuff in perspective, and he know how to get the most out of his players more than anything.
When y'all watch the Penguin doc, did it show that they have same-sex behavior? Because a lot of times they say same-sex behavior in penguins has been observed in zoos, but it's not clear if it's common in the wild.
Nah, I ain't get that. I ain't get that far.
So let me ask you about
That's true.
Crazy.
But that's
like,
true.
why? Like,
They'll look it up later.
Okay. Now, DeMar, let me ask you about your pops. You said I knew my dad loved me and he was larger than life to me.
Yeah.
But he was the only person that you were scared of.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I know for my fact, and I'd say for me growing up, I'm sure the same for you, Charlamagne.
What you was about to say?
I said I was scared of my dad growing up too.
Oh.
I'm sure it's the same as you.
Me too.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
But
My
let me
dad
ask
used to say that word too in the 90s.
But how were you as a parent? Are you the same way with your kids?
No, because the fear he put in me, I always tell myself, I didn't want to be like that to my kids.
But it kept you straight, kept
But
you
it
out the
kept
street.
me straight. But I also grew up in the streets. My kids don't
That's true.
know nothing about the streets. So I approach them more so with love and patience and more of a understanding. When before, like, you know, my parents parent me in a sense of survival. It was always a thing. My mom always used to tell me, when you walk out that door, make sure, I don't care what you do, you walk back in this house. Whatever time you come back in. So with that, it gave me a survival instinct to understand, like, no matter what, I gotta make sure I make it back to the house. You know what I mean? Because it was tough. So, you know, my kids.
When did you realize that? Because, you know, as a kid, you think your dad's just being hard on you, and you like, I hate him. But then when you started getting a little older, and you start having kids, you understand everything.
Oh yeah, you understand so much. Even to this day, to this moment, I still have moments where I fully understand why my parents did a lot of stuff that they did. You know, and but you know, when it comes to like that tough love, I don't think it's necessary like it's like it was with my dad for me, especially growing up in Compton.
You know, it's so interesting. I saw you say in the book that you were afraid to have a son of your own because you didn't feel that you could deliver the same brand of tough love that he did. And 2 things that I learned in therapy. Number one, I felt like my dad used to discipline me for things he never taught me, but also my dad was raising me out of fear and not love.
Exactly.
And I think what we call tough love is actually fear, because he was afraid because you was in the street. It's like when I was in the street, my dad did not want me to make the same mistakes that he made.
Exactly. Yeah. And even me now having a son, like my son is like, you know, I got four girls and 1 son, and, you know, having my son, like having that, you know, especially with my son, I think about my father more so than anything, but like with him, he brings, like, I give him the joy and the love that he deserved, like I do my daughters. You know what I mean? Because when I was a kid, I always wanted that for my dad. I always wanted the approval for my dad. I always wanted to make sure I made him happy. But that was the tough love he was giving me that made me question that at times. So, you know, with my son, like I definitely didn't want to come off that way. You know what I mean? I didn't want to give him that tough love. It may be times where it's needed, but for the most part, you know, my son is my dog. Long as with my daughters, but having a son now, it makes me think about my dad more than anything.
Now, is it true that you said Jordan on the Wizards is your favorite Michael Jordan?
But you don't do drugs.
more so.
You got to explain that one.
More so from the standpoint of like how simple he made the game at such a. He was 38, 39, 40, still.
But that was your favorite Jordan?
It wasn't my favorite, but it was more so the one that I remember watching the most. You know what I mean? Well, I'm 35 when, I was 12, 13 when Mike was with the Wizards. So it was more me understanding and like watching.
And you fell in love with that Jordan?
No, I love Jordan.
Oh, okay.
But I more so fell in love with that Jordan with the style of play of how I play now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Obviously, you don't agree, huh?
No, I mean, I get what he's saying, but that 23 on the Bulls is just
the 23,
a different 23.
No, that's definitely something else.
So what's your favorite Bron?
My favorite Bron?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Second Cleveland stint, LeBron, probably my favorite Bron, because that's the Bron we couldn't get past when we was in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He was unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Unstoppable.
And you had a relationship with Kobe too, right?
Yeah, Kobe was, I had a relationship with Kobe ever since I was probably 15.
Wow.
15, 16 years old.
Just growing up in Compton, like.
Yeah, growing up in Compton, then I always used to go to his camps. Then obviously, when I was in high school, being a top-ranked ranking high school player, he used to have these late-night runs where we would go up there and play. And, he used to handpick who he fell in love with as players. And, I was one of those ones, and by the time I was a senior in high school, he'd give me his shoes. I wore shoes, his Kobe's I think my senior year in high school. A lot of times, and when I went to college, he used to give me a lot of his shoes. So we always had a relationship ever since I was young, for sure.
Where do you rank them? Like, where do you have? Cause we just finished talking about
Kobe, my GOAT.
Okay.
I'm beyond it. I tell everybody, Kobe is my GOAT for many reasons. That was the first person I watched. Growing up in LA, that's the only NBA game I used to watch was the Lakers. So I watched every single game of his. Shit, I cried when he shot the air balls versus Utah in the playoffs, as a kid. So I always had an emotional attachment to him growing up watching him play. And obviously him being my mentor by the time, I got in high school and throughout my time in the league.
Did the NBA provide proper grief counseling after Kobe passed? Because even if you didn't have a personal relationship with Kobe, he influenced so many people and inspired so many people. Did they handle that correctly? Because y'all was in the bubble too around that time, right?
Was that the bubble?
Yeah, I think that was the bubble.
That was that same year, right? Yeah. Because that happened. Because that happened that year. Then the league stopped. Then that summer we went to the bubble. Yeah. No, what's crazy? I think during that time, as players, we kind of embraced each other deeper than anything, because you start to look at the person next to you like, man, damn, if this could happen to Kobe, this could happen to anybody.
Right.
And it kind of hit us all hard, man. Like I remember the day it happened, I remember we had a game, and a lot of people across the league started, basically text and talk before the game. It's like, should we even play? A lot of people was contemplating on not even playing because just out of respect for Kobe and everything. But we end up, everybody end up holding the ball. I think we held the ball for a 24-second shot clock. Just try to, pay respect to him. But, we all bridged together as players more so than anything.
How was playing against him? Because that was your idol. That was your GOAT. Y'all played, 10 games in the league against each other?
Total? Yeah, probably more than that, because I think for me it was cool because, I was even able to be a part of his last All-Star game in Toronto, to honor him. Even that season, I think we honored him when he came to Toronto. I gave him some special shoes, special made Kobe shoes. It was amazing being able to play against your idol, somebody you looked up to, and knowing how crazy he was on the court, and the aura that he carried is almost similar to the stories I hear about Mike, and to see that in Cole whenever he stepped out there on the court and the things he was able to do it was beyond incredible.
And now you also played on Master P's AAU team, right? How was playing for P?
P was like, man, that's that's family, man. Like P, like beyond family, man. P took me in like a son. Be honest with you. Like Monday through Friday, I'll be in Compton. Friday night to Sunday, I'm at P House with Romeo. You know, Rome. You know, even the other day, my book signing in LA, Rome came through, and you know, show respect. You know, that's one of my close friends since we was 14, 15 years old. But you know, he took me in. You know, I was like a son to him early on for sure. So it was dope to be around that whole aura.
How good was Lil Romeo playing ball? How good was P? Because I'm sure y'all played.
Yeah, we played a lot. P was good, but he was even better at talking smack. Like he used to
talking the whole game.
He used to talk trash all day long.
He gives me the old man back you down. Like the old man back you down.
Hit you with the elbow. Yep. Like that's P. P like old school, dirty. But if he hit 2 shots in a row, you ain't gonna hear the last of it.
And Lil Romeo?
Rome was nice. You know, obviously, you don't. Looking back at it, and we even had this conversation. Him being the child star he was, it was hard for him to focus on, you know, just one thing. But for him to even make it, you know, the college says a lot with the amount of stuff that he was dealing with, going through, being a star, doing TV shows, doing music and everything. So it was just difficult for him to focus on one thing, but he had it.
I think, first of all, I love the title of your book, right? We're talking to DeMar DeRozan, Above the Noise, My Story of Chasing Calm. I think we all know what noise sounds like, right? But what does calm sound like? Because one thing you said earlier that hit me, because I understand that feeling, is when you feel peace and you're a person that's used to dealing with anxiety about the depression, it scares you a little bit.
Man, I think I said this the other day. It's kind of like, you know, that eerie feeling you get when you in the middle of somewhere and it's just too quiet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like
and you're waiting for something to go wrong. Like,
you just waiting. Like it makes your nerves kind of even worse in that moment, because you kind of on 10 from there. So that was even a challenge for me. Like, and I used to try to figure out ways on really how to like accept it and indulge in it. So I started, you know, it got to a point to where I started going to like Montana, Wyoming, going to these random places where it's just completely natural sound, and just like getting lost in it and understanding it's okay to be within peace. It's okay to kind of decompress away from everything else that's going on, because this is the true way to find and center yourself and kind of really think clearly for a second and not question it.
What do you do, meditation or?
I mean, I'm big. Like, I remember I went to Montana. I got on the river. I went along the river for about 7-8 hours. No phone, no nothing. And just, you know, looked at the mountains and just went along the river. And you know, it kind of puts your thoughts in perspective with everything that I've been.
No phone?
Yeah, no nothing.
Wow.
But that's the thing.
That's amazing.
But that's the thing. We get so caught up in our phone. Like, I'm gonna be honest too. Sometimes I get lost in my phone and I get mad, throw my phone. Like, damn, like I don't need this. You know what I mean? Let me kind of like decompress from all this and kind of just find myself, because it's so easy to get lost in everything else.
So now you have like resources though where you can get up and go to like Montana and do all that stuff. When you talk to younger players about finding peace just because they might not have the same environments, how do you explain to them how they can find little pieces of peace? Like you said, you had your grandmother who was peace to you. Like, how do you talk to them or talk them through that?
I think you really got to find what you love, and sometimes you can't be scared to try something new either. You know, whatever that may be, because it's different for everybody. And one thing I always try to tell people, be open-minded to things you may be uncomfortable with, because that could be the thing that changes you. Because there's a lot of stuff I never in my life thought I'd do. I never thought I'd be somebody from Compton, be in the middle of Montana. Like, I never thought that. But I was open to the idea of doing it and trying it. And it was one of the most amazing things I did. And even in that moment when I did it, I remember I took like 6-7 of my cousins from Compton. I took them there. I remember they was mad as shit at me because, you know, I didn't tell them where we was going.
They thought they was going somewhere hot.
They
They
think we going to
thought you
Miami.
sitting on couch and
hoes at,
You see what I'm saying?
Montana.
They thinking like we about to go turn up. We going like, and we get off the plane and we in the middle of Montana, and they was mad. But by the end of the trip, it was like, yo, this is one of the greatest experiences I ever had. I never thought I'd be in Montana scaling trees or or on the lake or fly fishing or doing all these, like, I never would imagine, but it changed their perspective. You know what I mean?
In touch with nature too.
Yeah, it give them a whole different outlook on just life and thinking it's just being around, like, you know, toxic type of, you know, energy. Sometimes it's cool. It's, you know, everything in moderation, but sometimes you really just got to ground yourself and figure out that calm.
What is it that makes Compton so special, man? Like just think about all of the great iconic culture shifting people who have come out of Compton.
Yeah. It's wild because I've had moments where, you know, when I go back home and I'm leaving out this, like, city, and you really just sit and realize, like, man, this small city done birthed some of the greatest individuals that ever touched the world. You know what I mean? And it gives me the chills a lot of times when I think about it, because, you know, it make me even feel even more proud of even being from there, because it don't happen by accident. This ain't, you know what I mean? Like it's something about this place that shape, that have so much to offer, that you see. You know what I mean? And it's I'm just honored to be a part of it. Be honest with you, it's hard to pinpoint what is it, but it's something amazing, because we got some greats to come out of there.
Now, you played in Toronto for years, but then Kendrick's from Compton. Drake is from Toronto. That's your guy. How do you choose what you're gonna get into and what you're not gonna get into at that point?
You know, it's crazy. It's like, love them both, family. You know, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm from Compton. Like, my city, where I'm from, where I'm born, like, where my family still live, it's like, that comes first before anything. You know, and I feel like any real person will understand that, you know, and that's just what it is. Like, and it's so crazy because my second home became Toronto.
Right.
That has one of the greatest of all time, being from there too. So,
watch your mouth.
Drake.
Watch your mouth.
So you're not mad about the Super Bowl?
Watch your mouth.
Kendrick got the Super Bowl.
No, I'm not mad. I understand it. Like, yeah, we for sure would love to see Wayne up there. And my thing too is, like, everybody was in such a uproar. We don't know if Wayne was still gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. We didn't know 50 was doing L.A., but it was such an honor and surprise to see him still do it.
He can't do that though.
Ooh.
Wayne can't pop
Wayne is
up
across
at a
enemy
Kendrick
lines.
Lamar show. Kendrick, I mean
that part of it,
that would be crazy.
You think so?
Yes.
Call him a
Yes,
pedophile.
come on, man. They try to
go to the Super Bowl.
Kendrick put your name in the song. I'm glad DeRozan came home. Y'all didn't deserve him either. You being in the video, they were acting like you,
man, they
crossed
like,
enemy lines or something, even though that's your guy. So imagine Wayne showing up on stage.
I mean, yeah, true.
What you want him to say? I see dead people too, and then walk off afraid? That wouldn't work.
True. Man. I mean, that's why I'm glad I'm not in an entertainment business. Because y'all job is definitely difficult.
Have you spoke to Drake?
No, I haven't talked to him.
You ain't send him a text to be like, you good?
Blocked him.
Nothing?
He good.
Don't send him no football emojis.
Listen, no.
Football emoji.
It's Super Bowl.
Oh,
he kinky over here.
Yeah,
What that mean?
like, first it was the Penguins, now it's okay.
The penguin thing is true, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. DeMar, like, where did I walk into?
You'll see, watch it. You're going to see the penguin thing, that's a thing. Like, people, that is a thing.
All right.
I think, listen, it's dope regardless of how everybody look at it. I think it's dope. Go back to the Compton thing to see somebody from Compton headline the Super Bowl. Like,
again, y'all just had one 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it's in LA in 2 years from now too. So
yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I just appreciate the moment. I would love to see Wayne. You know, I love to see, you know, Cash Money out there. I love to see No Limit out there. You know, so I don't think too much into it when it happens, because I'm pretty sure it's more of a surprise that probably do come with it. And that's just me guessing. I don't have no insight on anything. That's just me guessing.
And I like it, man, because, you know, to the victor goes the spoils.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was the greatest rap feud of all time, greatest rap beef of all time. Kendrick won. I feel like if Drake would have got the better of that situation, it's no doubt in my mind we getting Drake and Wayne at the Super Bowl this February.
Think so?
Absolutely. So, you know, that's like Kendrick's ring.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, sports, right? Like, you play to a certain point, and you play for a championship, and you win a ring. These guys just sell records, sell out shows. But what's like that crowning moment?
Right.
Like, this is like his crowning moment to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's and I look at it from a fan perspective from the whole thing. Like, it was just an exciting year from the standpoint of being able to see two of the biggest rappers all time the duke it out. You know what I mean? And to see where's it at now. Like, I'm a fan of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because I look at it like that in sports. You want to see the best of the best go at it. You know what I mean? Win, lose, or draw. Somebody got to lose. That's all right. But it's sport. It's part of the sport and competition. You know?
Forget location. Who's better? Forget location. Forget where you from. This is just pure listening. Who's a better rapper, Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
You're not about to put me in this. I'm going with both. Both of them is my favorite. That's what I'm leaving in that.
Kobe said Kendrick was him.
That's what Kobe said?
I remember something like that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did say that. It's such a – it's tough because even when it come to Kendrick, for me, being from Compton, it resonate so in depth because every album, every verse, like I pinpoint that emotion, the feeling, the bar for bar. Like, it's certain things he say with certain streets and lingo where I know exactly what that feeling feels like or what that meaning means. So to me, is if you put me in that situation, is Kendrick. But it's like also like I remember when Drake was making views. I was in Toronto and I remember hearing it and knowing exactly the vibe and the feeling he was going for that was going on in the city. So that's what makes it so tough for me. That puts me in such a like tricky like, you know what I mean? Because I was there, like, for both times. Like, I've been there for so many albums of Drake and really understand where it come from and everything. You know what I mean? So, for me to be thrown in it.
I want you to break down the concert, right? The concert you did in Juneteenth in L.A., right? Of course, we seen it from the outside. We seen the music side. But everybody was talking about what he did for the street and local. So, break that down for people that don't understand that part of it.
People got to understand, like, I know it could seem like people celebrating whatever it come to the diss or whatever, but for us, the weeks leading up to it, the conversations that was had about certain people being in the same building that haven't been around each other, same people that's been having issues, internal issues, hoods, individual problems with a lot of people. For everybody to know that they're gonna be under one building and act accordingly, no problems, no issues. I remember when I first got there, I remember walking in the back and I see the line of every single entourage.
Every hood.
I'm talking about blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Like, you see it and there was no issues, no problems, everybody talking. In that moment, there symbolized what really was going on. That was bigger than just what the outside people may be looking at, like, oh, it's a beef, they don't know. Like, some of these dudes haven't even been in the same building in years. And some of these dudes' hoods then had serious issues with this other hood. So it's like, we all in here wasn't not one problem, wasn't one argument going or leaving. And that was the most incredible thing for me to witness.
Wow.
How did you avoid, I guess, joining a gang growing up in Compton? I always wonder about that. Because you would be like the good kid in the mad city, right?
Yep. Exactly. And I think for me, like, my majority of my family, gang members, in a gang, associated with a gang, and growing up in Compton, you was affiliated with a gang, whether you want to be or not. And for me, I had so many older people in my life that understood and had the respect to where when they see me, make sure I don't get in this situation. Or, you know, it's been times where a situation about to happen and be like, all right, D out here, D. Somebody get D out there, take him home. And we meet back and, you know, I hear that night a situation happened. But they made sure I was far gone before anything happened. So I had a lot of that. I was lucky enough to have a lot of that from both sides, even with Bloods and Crips, to be able to have that type of respect and that love to keep me away from a lot of situations. Even my games in Compton, like I remember so many games where I look in the crowd, it'd be this hood that don't get along with this hood, but they here to watch me play with no problems.
Wow.
You know, and that used to mean so much to me that no issues happen, no
Nobody ever
happen.
fouled you hard,
know what I mean?
in Compton. Nobody ever fouled you hard.
Ever. And even still, I remember we used to have, when we had road games, my high school coach used to get an extra 2 buses to so we could take people to our away games. And he used to make sure all the game members took the bus so we wouldn't have problems somewhere else. But that was always just the respect I had growing up.
That's crazy.
When you look back at your journey from Compton to the NBA, what's the most valuable lesson you think you learned?
Most valuable lesson? That's a good question, man. That's a hell of a question. I should have been ready for that because I know how you I think for me, patience. Because growing up, I always used to want everything so fast. Like I never considered nothing else. And sometimes patience is what have you ready for when whatever you want do come. And that's one thing I kind of learned because my patience, when things came my way, I was ready for it. I accepted it. I made the most out of it instead of rushing through it.
Ladies and gentlemen, DeMar DeRozan. His book is out right now. Above the Noise, My Story of Chasing Calm. And we appreciate you for joining us, man. Don't be a stranger either, man.
Nah, yeah, for sure, man.
When
I appreciate it.
book. My Knicks beating up on y'all. You come in and say what's up.
I wish you much success this season. I don't have an NBA team. I like
Appreciate
players, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wish y'all much success in Sacramento.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Word.
that.
Absolutely. It's The Breakfast Club. It's DeMar DeRozan.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.